Hi, good morning. Thanks to everybody that's joined us so far. My name's Andy Hemming, and I head up the support process here at Textlocal. Over the next 20 minutes, we'll be understanding the basics today. So we'll be showing you how to load data into the system, how to effectively grow a database through what we call keywords, how to then send a text message using links and attachments, and then post-send, we'll be showing you how to pull reports from the system that would allow you to cleanse your database, but also be proactive and follow up with people that may have clicked any links or attachments included into a message. There are a number of new customers that are with us this morning, so I'm going to start just by giving a quick synopsis of the platform. So it's an online solution that's run very much through the website, which is textlocal.com. We run on prepay, pay-and-go terms, so there's never any contracts, there's never any tie-ins. You service the platform with credits. Credits represent messages on a one-to-one ratio. The idea is normally the more you buy, the cheaper the rate, and you buy in bundles from 100 upwards. They're the only associated costs with the platform. The service does come fully loaded with a number of additional features and functionality that are purpose-built, of course, to enhance the service from our end, but from our customer's point of view, help you achieve better response rates, which in turn will boost overall return for investment. The first screen that you can see in front of you is just your home screen. So this is the first screen that you'll see once you've logged in. You'll log in with the username, which is typically your email address, and the password that you chose at sign up. And the home screen just covers off some very basic reporting stats over a 30-day window, such as what you might have sent and received. It's very easy to navigate around the platform. You just refer to the navigation bar across the top, and then it's just a simple case of hovering over a header, which will then give you a drop-down of options. We're going to start by showing you how to load data in. So typically, as an organization, we don't supply data. We've built up a great reputation in the industry based on our ethos of working with customers that have opted in data. So on that basis, you should, or we would hope you would already have a database of numbers. So what you'll do is you'll come to contacts, you will hit create group, you'll give the group a name, just something that's easy to identify between other sets of data. You can have as many groups as you wish. Now I've already pre-created one, so we'll just come in to the group that I've created. You'll now see this screen in front of you where you can see number, first name, and so on. What this will now do is this will allow you to be personable with customers should you choose to. So essentially loading in data that would allow you to send a mass broadcast but be individual to a specific person. Clearly that's only as good as the information it's fed, so you do need to make sure that you're consistent. If you're going down the route of, say, using first names, you need to ensure that all numbers would have a first name next to it for it to work properly. But essentially, to get the data into the platform, you would hit add, paste, upload. Best practice normally is to upload a spreadsheet. So it's a CSV to be compatible with the platform. It's a column per personalized field. So if you were just going down the route of loading in numbers, you'd have one column with numbers. If you were going down the route of numbers, first name, as well as a custom field, you'd have 3 columns, and then you'd simply select the file from the computer and upload in a matter of seconds. You can also paste a list. Now this doesn't work for any personalized fields, I must stress, so it's very much just about loading in numbers, but it would allow you to copy and then paste in the traditional format and then add the numbers again very quickly. The third option you've got is self-explanatory. It's adding them in one by one. It's clearly the least favorable option because it could take some time with a substantial amount of data, but it can be quite handy to add to existing groups or create much smaller groups. So essentially it's that easy to create a contact group. Now on the basis that you've already got data, great. On the basis that you haven't got data, or as a business you're looking to grow, which I'm sure all businesses have aspirations to do so, there is a way you can effectively do this through text message rather than sort of going out and sourcing data. The challenge you've got with sourcing data is that obviously A, it's expensive, B, it's considered spam, and C, it's very difficult to get a good return for investment on it, because normally the data you source isn't necessarily always your target audience. So I'm going to just take you through to receive and view inboxes now, and talk you through a service that we call a keyword on a shortcode service. Essentially what that is, it's basically a word that's referable to the business on a short number. So the first concept is that it's memorable. What you now need to do is you need to incentivize people to text in. You take a two-pronged approach with this. You can go down an offers or a promotion route, whereby you're advertising in channels where your target audience would see, and essentially you'd be asking them to text in for a discount or to enter a competition. The other route that you could go down is not necessarily offers or promotions, but advertising people to text in for more information about your products or services, text in to opt into a newsletter that's sent monthly, etc. The idea is that the more people that see that message, the more people that text in. Once they've texted in, they automatically opt into your service. They now recognize who you are as a business, so when you choose to reuse that data further down the line, it should be more fruitful, and you should see a good response from those text campaigns. I've preset a keyword for today's demonstration named webinar on 60777. It's going to take you through to the settings within that inbox, where now we can set up a number of features whereby when people text in, we can send an auto response. So if we use the example of texting in for an offer or a promotion, such as a discount, when the customer texts in, within 3 to 5 seconds, they would get a bounce back text with that code on, where they can now quote at point of sale to get the discount. Or if I'm texting in for more information, a bit like we're going to use in today's demonstration, we can hit them with an auto response relevant to that inbound communication, whereby we can now include a link into the message where they can click to view a brochure or a video about our services and so on. So I'm going to ask for some audience participation now, just so you can see this service working in a live scenario. For those that want to take part, if you could get your phones ready, open up a new message. In the toolbar, if you just type the number 60777, so to confirm, that's 60777. And then in the message content now, if you could just type the word webinar, so that's WEBINAR, and then just hit the send button. Within 3 to 5 seconds, you should have an auto response, which will demonstrate how this service would work in a live scenario. I'm just going to give everybody a couple of seconds just to catch up, and then we'll continue with the demonstration. Okay, so for those that have taken part, I'm hoping by now you've received your inbound message, and we're certainly well under the way now of starting to create our own opted-in database that will support the data that we've perhaps already got and is allowing the business to grow and compete in our local towns or cities with like-minded businesses. So typically now we've loaded our data in, or we've built our database, so naturally we now want to send a text message. So if we come to send text message, any group that we've created will automatically appear on the left-hand side. By putting the dot inside the circle, that selects everybody in the group. If we don't want to send to everybody in the group, what we can now do is we can hit the expand option, and that will give us a breakdown of everybody that's in there for easy selection. Obviously I can't do that today for data protection, but it's very easy to do, as you can see just there. On the right hand side now, this is where I really start to share some best practices with you and some USPs for Textlocal. So the first option you've got, based on our great relationship with the networks, we work with tier 1 routes, just to add. So what that means in simple terms is that all messages are sent and delivered within 3 to 5 seconds, and through the main routes that you'd expect through a premium rate service. So you're going through your EEs, your O2s, etc. So based on our relationship with those networks, we do get a number of features and privileges that we can pass down to you. One of which is the ability to use a name rather than a number when sending a text. This has great benefits because if you can instantly send a text from a recognized source, people are more likely to take note of the content. Therefore, if the content's good, the response should be good. A bit of housekeeping on that though, it is only a one-way communication tool. The reason behind that is whilst we can change numbers to alpha, alpha as destination doesn't exist. Phones are programmed to understand numbers. So if you do try and respond to Textlocal as an example, that handset would always reject the message. So what we would say, if you are using that route of sending messages, always put a call to action within the message, and we'll just cover off some best practices on that in a second. Very easy to change the sender name should you ever wish. It's just a drop down, add sender. We can now type in what we like there, up to 11 characters. Okay, so we're now ready to prepare a message. So when we were creating the contact group, we discussed about the ability to send a mass broadcast at the same time, but be individual to a specific customer. I'm going to talk you through how to do that now. It's ever so simple. So in a live scenario, that wouldn't be any good because not everybody's name is Andy in this example. So what we would actually do is we would insert merge fields. You cast your mind back to the headers on how we create our contact group. We would now literally just hit the first name button. I appreciate when we read that back to ourselves, hi first name, doesn't necessarily make sense. However, when you hit the send button, the system's built to do a hashtag lookup under that criteria, and it would then populate accordingly. Now for today's demonstration, I have already set a template just for speed, and I'm just going to talk you through some additional features and functionality now based on the call to actions we've just discussed through the sender name. So, as we've discussed, if we are going down the route of using the sender name, we can't get replies. Now, in theory, I'm just going to give you some stats on sort of why you should be using mobile. In theory, it should be as simple as loading your data in, sending a text, and waiting for the response. Typically, we're performing on an average 32% response rate against 5% for email. I think the catalyst behind that is that clearly email spam filters are very efficient these days. As a nation, we're very much used to being spammed through email, so we're reluctant to check them as regular. Clearly with SMS, there's no spam filter solution. We're carrying our phones around with us all day, every day. In fact, 97% of messages would be read within the first 5 seconds, going to show why text is such a powerful communication tool and certainly now performing an essential part of the marketing mix. So it should be, as I say, be as simple as just loading the data in it and waiting for the response. That said, if it was me and I had a marketing budget or I was spending money to communicate with customers, I'd want to make sure that that the messages I was sending were as effective as possible, and I would be able to follow up and be proactive with that text send should I need to. Now clearly, with no call to action in the message and the fact the customer can't respond, you haven't got that fallback option if the response rate hasn't been as good as you anticipated. So on that basis, what you would typically look to do is, yes, standard, put a phone number in there for the customer to call back. What you'd also look to do is perhaps include some form of link or an attachment into the text message. And the reason you would do that is it's perceived within the industry that actually if people receive a message, they recognize the source, they're then interested in the content. If there's something there for them to interact with, they'll generally click that link. Now hidden behind that link would be a reporting statistic that would post-send would be able to report back to you exactly how many people have clicked the link, but not only that, it would be able to pinpoint the number and the device type of the person that clicked, which in turn allows you now to be proactive and follow up with these customers. And it's very much important that you do that because research has told us that 50% of people that are interested in a marketing campaign of sorts will not go on to purchase. Given time, people will change their mind, they will forget. I'm sure you've all been there. I certainly have. So you'll find these reports very, very useful. I'm just going to run through the different types of link that you can use now very briefly. It's worth mentioning at this point, I do plan on doing a number of other sessions that will really drill down into certain aspects of the system. So watch out for future invites on that. Within a 20-minute schedule today, I haven't got too much time to spend on these links and attachments right now. So you'll see them in the bottom left-hand corner. The first was a real game changer for us. It's the attachment tool. We've basically replicated the same attachment feature on an email, which if you think about what you can attach via email, whether that be PDF, whether it be video, whether it be image. You can really attach some rich content to the text messages these days. It's also a great way around the 160 character rule. So if you can't keep the content to 160 characters, which is a standard message, the system would send as one message, but it would charge it at 2, 3, 4 credits and so on. So from a cost-saving element, if you can't keep to 160, what I've advised customers in the past is maybe create a Word document. You can go into War and Peace on that if you really want to, and then just load it into the system in link form, and then send somebody a simple message within 160 characters, advising them to click that link for more details. Very easy to attach. It's just a case of clicking the link, obviously loading in your file, and then inserting where it's then converted to link. We're hosting it on our server, and that's essentially how that element would work. Next option you've got is the mobile web page feature. So not to be confused with creating your own website. They're created and hosted by us under the mobile web page section. It's basically creating a page or a landing page that's relevant to the outbound text message rather than a generic link to your homepage on your website, in simple terms. The next option you've got is the most basic type of link that you could use, which is literally just free type in the URL to your website or landing page. And then the fourth link you could use is the survey tool. So yes, does what it says on the tin. Like the mobile web page section, it's built on the platform itself. Again, it's hosted by us, and is a great way of engaging with customers to improve relations, so you can get feedback on the products and services that you provide. My favorite aspect of this service actually is the fact that it also doubles up as a data capture service. So not only can you build surveys, you can also build forms that allow customer engagement for registering interest in products or services, so sales teams can follow up to convert. And then finally, you've got our vouchers and ticketing system. So this could be a one-time voucher or ticket that can be scanned for redemption in store. That code, that voucher or ticket can be unique to specific customers, so they can't be forwarded on to others. And then you've got the loyalty aspect of that, whereby if we take the Costa Coffee card as the example, rather than the physical card sitting in the wallet, we could have the loyalty sat on the passbook on your iPhone, let's say, and each time you order your coffee, it could be scanned, and then on the 5th time, a text can be sent out to receive your free coffee and so on. So I appreciate I've just scanned through that functionality. Clearly, there's a lot more to it. Clearly, we can really drill down and show you how to create those pages, those vouchers, tickets, and so on. We will do so in later webinars, or I'm quite happy to do those on one-to-one sessions should anybody request it. You'll see you've got your character count here, so obviously we've covered off it's 160 characters per message. Clearly I'm going over today, but for the sake of today's webinar, that doesn't really matter. You've got the facility to schedule text. So if you didn't need the text to go straight away, but you knew you were in a meeting this afternoon, for instance, you could log on beforehand and set the text to go out automatically. We've also got the opt-out. Now, best practice on that, if you're canvassing for something, please do include the opt-out path. People have the right not to receive future communications from you should they not wish. If it's just a communication message, such as your appointment's tomorrow, the office is closed for Easter, anything that's quite generic and advisory, there's no real need to include the opt-out path on the message, because as an existing customer or somebody that recognizes their brand name, why would I not want to receive those types of communications? Just some housekeeping on the opt-out path. It's another free service that we provide you. We also take care of the admin side as well. So as a quick example, if you were going to send out 100 text messages, 20 people opted out, the next time you log in there'd only be 80 to send to. We don't delete the data, we store it for you under contacts and opt-outs for you to review at any time. Once we're happy, we're now ready to send the text message. So we hit send. We always get a confirmation of who the message is going to, what it's costing us, the nature of the text message, and when we're happy with everything, we now send that message. And as discussed, they will be delivered almost imminently in the 3 to 5 second time frame. You'll see within the test text that you're going to receive, again, we've obviously got the links and the attachments there for you to interact with, and you could see how that would work in a live scenario and how powerful that can be. So finally now I'm just going to take you to some useful reports that you would use post-send. The first is the ability to cleanse your database. So if you come into reports and all reports and then refer to the group elements, it's not something I can click through today, unfortunately, because of data protection for numbers, but you'll see the text that we've just sent to the group, the cost again, the nature of the message, and then when we hit the check button, you'll get a breakdown within there, such as what was sent, what hadn't been sent, and those reports are backed directly from the network. So it's not actually Textlocal telling you we've delivered it. It's actually the network reporting back to Textlocal to say they've received the signal from the handset to say that message has been delivered. So a really useful report there. And obviously moving forward, if you do start to get a number of invalid numbers, it does allow you to cleanse your database. So in theory, the second time you make that send, you'll have confidence that 100% of those messages will be delivered. So going back to obviously the links and attachments, I said a great benefit of using those would be the ability to click through and then obviously pull reports to be proactive. So what you'll do is reports, it's all reports, it's then short links. You'll see now I use this account quite often for demonstrations, so I'll use one that's been clicked through the most, but essentially you'll get the link that you've used, the amount of clicks that it's had, and then the ability to view the stats. What you'll get now is a plotted line graph that will plot who's clicked and when they've clicked, so you can target people in sequential order. Clearly you'll target the people that clicked as soon as the message was sent, right through then to days after first. You get a breakdown of device type and screen resolution. I'm quite often asked why that's useful. If I can help you understand, if you can start to profile your customer database, we've discussed that you can create vouchers and tickets, data capture forms, surveys. If you know the majority of your database has an iPhone, let's say, you could start to be biased to create those pages to suit the iPhone. Also, it's saying that actually if you're getting a high click-through rate, then potentially you should use more and more links because your target audience like interacting more that way. Now the next bit, which again unfortunately I can't do because of data protection, if I was to export that as a CSV, it will now transfer all of that information into an Excel spreadsheet, which is where we can see the number of the person that clicked. So, if I was a sales team now, that effectively is creating a ready-made sales sheet that I can pass to my guys to follow up to convert. Obviously, for the people that aren't typically selling products and services on today's webinar, you would still find that report useful. If it was internal comms, for instance, you could find that useful as an audit to check that certain staff members had read and digested, important information that you were, sending out. So that pretty much concludes what I wanted to discuss for today. Obviously, it was a very much a watered-down version of what I could go through. I'm hoping it's showcased that there's more to the service than a very basic SMS service, albeit it can be used very basically if that was the requirement. As I've discussed throughout the webinar, I am going to be doing a series of these where we do deeper dives into certain elements of the system. Before we finish though, just going to go over to a quick Q&A. I know throughout the webinar we've had a number of people raising questions, so I'll take the opportunity to answer a few of those, and then at the end I shall give you my contact details for anybody that would like to contact me on a one-to-one, and then I'll let you get on with your Fridays. So the first question, we've got obviously a number of NHS representatives on today. They were obviously interested in the scheduling side, and there was questions asked about could the system automatically schedule these messages rather than you manually having to do it yourselves. The simple answer is yes. I mean, obviously I showed you how to manually schedule messages, but we do have, or we can give you access to our API. So that stands for Application Program Interface. In simple terms, that's us integrating our system with yours to enable an automatic process. So if we use the doctor's surgery as the example, I've got a doctor's appointment next Friday. So rather than the lady at reception having to send that the day before on the Thursday by logging into the system as we've shown you today, we could write some code that would trigger alerts in the system so that the day before, our system just goes into your system, interrogates the diary system and sucks out all the information it needs, and then sends that text message automatically. Very much like obviously a courier would do the same for delivery information, as would a car garage for MOT reminders. That way the service is just running itself. You don't need to log in or worry about it. Your only concern is to just ensure that you've got a constant stream of credits to send those automated messages. For the developers amongst us today, you'll find the coding on our website, textlocal.com, under the developer zone. For those that aren't technically trained, I'm not personally myself, whilst I understand the concept, but would like to integrate into the system. We do have our own tech support team, which you're able to speak to, and obviously they can offer help and guidance. Or if you do have your own tech guys your end, feel free to direct them to our website. We also had a number of questions raised about the cost of the service. Just to cover off, obviously we discussed that you service the platform with credits. Credits represent messages on a one-to-one basis. Typically, it's a sliding scale, so the more you buy, the cheaper the rate, essentially. Starting at 4.9p, coming down to 2p, and it's volume-based with various intervals in between. I think in simple terms, just to give you an idea of scale, if you're buying 100 credits, it's £4.90. If you're buying 10,000, it's £450. If it was 100,000, it's £2,900. So you can see there, the more I'm buying, the cheaper the cost per unit. Okay. And then finally, I've got one more question. Obviously, we did have some interest regarding the keyword, and obviously the ability to build an opted-in database. There were some questions there around, was that a paid-for service? It is an additional cost. The cost for the service, again, like the outbound side, it's on non-contract terms. So typically, you will do £25 a month on a rolling basis, or you could block buy where we do incentives to do so over, say, 6 or 12 months. So 6 months is £135, 12 months is £240. That's all there is to it. So again, the idea is it's low cost, maximum gain, and certainly a fraction of cost of what the data companies would charge for data. So I'm conscious of time now. Pretty much concludes what I wanted to discuss today. As I say, I do head up the support process, so feel free to contact me or my team anytime. I mean, my direct dial is 01244 573 246. That number again, 01244 573 246. Or alternatively, feel free to email me. My email address is andy.hemming. Hemming is spelt H-E-M for mother, I-N-G, at textlocal.com, and it's text spelt properly, so you T-E-X-T local.com. So just to confirm, that's andy.hemming at textlocal.com. I hope everybody that joined us have enjoyed the session. I hope you realised how powerful text can be, and moving forward, I'm more than happy to support anybody in making a success of any campaigns. So I'd just like to thank everybody for joining us, and I look forward to speaking with you soon. Many thanks.